the most advanced civilization in the entire galaxy, made first contact with humanity on a Tuesday afternoon, and somehow, Lieutenant Ethan Carter managed to miss half of it while he was deep in sleep. Is your representative going through some kind of biological shutdown? Supreme Commander Zalkrath asked, their crystalline form flickering with concerned shades of purple. Their voice resonated throughout the United Nations chamber, carrying a touch of anxiety that made several of the human delegates shift nervously in their seats. Ambassador Sophia Ellis cleared her throat, her gaze flicking toward the peacefully slumbering lieutenant, who just moments ago had been the military attaché assigned to this monumental meeting. "Oh no, Supreme Commander," she said smoothly, trying to keep her composure. "He's just taking a power nap." All 15 members of the alien delegation, each of them members of the Zyrexian conclave, shifted through a confusing array of blues and greens. Their translucent bodies caught the sunlight that poured through the massive windows of the UN, creating a dazzling light show. But no one was paying attention to it, not with Lieutenant Carter snoring softly in the background. "A power nap?" Dr. Olivia Harper, the conclave's chief xenobiologist, repeated, carefully enunciating the words as if they might burst from their very meaning. Ambassador Ellis nodded calmly, maintaining her diplomatic composure while Carter let out another gentle snore. "It's actually pretty normal for humans. We can sleep just about anywhere." The alien's colors shifted once more, this time to a sharp, alarmed orange, as the diplomatic faux pas sank in. "Almost anywhere?" Supreme Commander Zalkrath's voice cracked, sending a minor resonance ripple through their crystalline form. "Please define anywhere." As if on cue, a junior diplomat in the back row nodded off, her head perfectly balanced on her hand in a position that defied every law of physics. 3 rows ahead, an elderly senator had been asleep since the meeting began. His breathing was so quiet and steady that the aliens hadn't even noticed him. Dr. Harper urgently pulled out a scanner, its crystalline surface pulsating with a data stream. "Supreme Commander, I'm detecting multiple instances of this sleep state throughout the chamber. Approximately 23% of the humans present are in varying stages of unconsciousness." Ambassador Ellis fought the urge to smile. Well, it is right after lunch. The entire alien delegation involuntarily stepped back, their crystalline forms swirling into a chaotic mix of orange and purple hues. Security Chief Vertex, who had been eerily silent until this point, finally spoke. Their sharp, angular edges glinted menacingly. "Are you telling us that your species routinely, voluntarily, and apparently at random, enters a complete unconscious state, even in the presence of unknown alien life forms?" "Oh, that's nothing," chimed in Dr. Sidney Palmer, another human scientist who had just woken up from her own quick nap. "You should see us on public transportation. I once saw a guy sleep standing up on a packed subway car during rush hour, and he didn't fall over once." The security readings would later show that this moment marked the precise point the Zyrexian conclave began to realize the potential horror of revealing themselves to humanity. Supreme Commander Zalkrath shifted to a deep, troubled purple, their crystalline body vibrating slightly as they watched Lieutenant Carter finally stir, stretch, and casually check his watch. "Sorry about that, folks," Carter said, completely unruffled. "Had a late patrol last night. Did I miss anything important?" Dr. Harper's scanners overloaded with a soft, high-pitched tinkle, the sound of a crystal breaking under pressure. What the aliens didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that this was just the beginning of their introduction to the madness of human sleep patterns. They hadn't witnessed soldiers napping between firefights, students dozing off during exams, yet somehow answering questions correctly, or the infamous tale of Captain Isabella Gray, who once slept through an entire alien invasion drill, while simultaneously coordinating the defense strategy through what she later described as a really weird dream. As the meeting dragged on, with humans drifting in and out of consciousness as if it were the most natural thing in the world, the alien delegation sent an urgent classified message back to their home world. Urgent. Subject: Species demonstrates unprecedented ability to enter temporary death state at will. Strategic implications unknown. Request immediate research funding and quarantine procedures. The response they received was equally concerned. Approved. But why are you sending this during their sleep cycle? That's just it, Supreme Commander Zalkrath replied, watching as another human diplomat nodded off mid-presentation about interstellar trade opportunities. We're not. They just do this whenever. However. Even if the aliens didn't want to admit it, the implications were undeniable. How do you exhaust an enemy that recharges their energy by simply sleeping through your attacks? How do you negotiate with a species that might be gathering critical intelligence while appearing completely unconscious? And perhaps most terrifying of all, what kind of cosmic nightmare had evolution wrought in a species that could stare into the infinite, dangerous void of space and think, "Yep, this looks like a nice place to take a nap"? Lieutenant Carter's next words would go down in history, immortalized in the Conclave's records as the moment they truly realized the terrifying reality they now faced. "Hey, anyone else up for a coffee break? I could really use another quick nap before we get to the serious stuff." Field Report 2187, Classified Level Omega Observer, Dr. Thalkor. Subject, Human Sleep Patterns in Military Contexts. Location, Joint Training Exercise, Area 51, Earth. Begin new observation log, Dr. Thalkor whispered into his crystalline recorder, his usual brilliant blue hue now dulled to a nervous gray. Day 47 of human military surveillance. I believe I'm witnessing something that defies every known law of biology, physics, and possibly reality itself, Dr. Thalkor muttered under his breath, staring at the high-powered observation equipment. Through the screens, he watched in disbelief as Private First Class Avery Montgomery completed her 20th mile of a forced march, while sound asleep. Her squad mates had seamlessly positioned themselves around her, adjusting their movements without thought, ensuring she stayed in step. In the last 3 miles, she hadn't missed a single stride. "They call it sleep marching," Admiral Zorin noted, his obsidian-like form looming behind Dr. Thalkor. The Admiral had arrived 2 weeks earlier after reading the initial reports and hadn't left since. His usually pristine military edges had begun to show signs of stress, slightly frayed from the pressure. "Watch what happens when the squadron leader calls for a halt," he said, his voice low and measured. Right on cue, Sergeant Liam Reynolds bellowed, "Squadron, halt!" Private Montgomery snapped awake in an instant, her rifle now at perfect parade rest, not a single drop of drool in sight. "Sir, yes, sir," she responded, completely composed. Dr. Thalkor's crystalline structure nearly cracked from shock. "That's impossible. The human transition from sleep to wakefulness should take at least—" "Keep watching," Admiral Zorin interrupted, his form darkening further. "It gets worse." The training exercise shifted into its combat phase, simulated explosions rocking the battlefield as practice rounds lit up the sky. Through their advanced scanning equipment, the aliens watched, horrified, as human soldiers found increasingly bizarre ways to do what they called combat naps. "Subject Caleb Harris, Private First Class," Dr. Thalkor narrated, his voice shaking. "Currently sleeping while providing cover fire. Accuracy, 92%. Brainwave patterns indicate stage 2 sleep. This shouldn't be possible." Admiral Zorin's personal log would later mark this as the moment he realized that humanity wasn't just unusual. They were terrifying. "Dr. Thalkor," he said slowly, "pull up the footage from Bunker C7. The holographic display flickered to life, showing a group of human soldiers during their designated rest period. Despite the availability of actual beds, the soldiers had chosen to sleep in the most peculiar positions. One soldier was perfectly balanced on a single chair leg. Another had wedged himself between the ceiling pipes. A third appeared to be asleep while doing a handstand. "Our psychological warfare experts," Admiral Zorin continued, his voice dropping to a whisper, "believe these positions are not random. They're training themselves to sleep anywhere, in any position. It's like they're evolving in real time." The observation team's worst fears were confirmed during the night combat exercise. Lieutenant Isabella Gray, commander of the Human Special Forces Unit, demonstrated a phenomenon they called micro-sleeping during a complex tactical operation. Her brain waves showed that she was technically asleep for brief 2.3-second intervals, yet she was simultaneously coordinating a multi-team assault. Admiral Zorin turned sharply. "You found something?" "During REM sleep," Dr. Thalkor began, Human brains show activity patterns nearly identical to their waking state. But here's the truly disturbing part. Look at this data from their dream cycles. The holographic display filled with complex neural patterns, making Admiral Zoran's crystalline edges dull with dread. "Are these readings accurate?" he asked. "Triple verified," Dr. Thalkor confirmed. "When humans dream, they're not just processing information, they're training. Every night they run combat simulations, strategic scenarios, and tactical exercises, all while being completely unreachable by any form of psychological warfare." Before the conversation could continue, a commotion broke out in the observation feeds. A human soldier had fallen asleep during an active demolition exercise. Before the aliens could react, the soldier, still asleep, correctly cut the right wire sequence and defused the practice bomb. "How?" Admiral Zoran demanded, his form practically vibrating with frustrated confusion. "How did he—" "According to his squad mates," Dr. Thalkor reported, checking the audio feeds, "he's been having recurring dreams about bomb defusal scenarios. They're calling it muscle memory." Admiral Zoran's personal log entry that evening was unusually brief. "They've weaponized unconsciousness. May the first Zyrexian preserve us all." The following week brought new horrors. During an endurance test, the alien observers watched in disbelief as an entire platoon performed a synchronized power nap during a 5-minute break. 30 humans instantly fell asleep, only to perfectly time their awakening exactly when needed. The efficiency was terrifying. "We've been approaching this all wrong," Admiral Zoran realized, reviewing the mounting evidence. "We thought their sleep patterns were a vulnerability. Instead, they're a cosmic defense mechanism we don't understand." Dr. Thalkor finished, his scientific curiosity battling with primal fear. "Think about it, Admiral. What kind of evolutionary pressure creates a species that can literally recharge their energy anywhere, anytime, under any conditions?" The answer came during the final phase of their observation, although its true significance wouldn't hit them until much later. Master Sergeant Benjamin Stone, age 43, father of 3, fell asleep during a briefing about first contact protocols with potentially hostile alien species. When asked later what he dreamed about, his response sent shockwaves through the entire crystalline high command. "You know, funny thing," he said, "I dreamed about crystalline beings watching us sleep, and all the ways we could use that to our advantage if things ever went south. Weird, right?" Admiral Zoran's final report to the High Council was short and to the point: "Terminate all invasion planning immediately. I repeat, terminate all invasion plans. The humans don't just sleep. They weaponize it. They dream of ways to defeat us while we watch them dream of defeating us. This is beyond tactical disadvantage, beyond strategic concern. We are witnessing something that should not be possible, yet exists with such casual indifference to its own impossibility, that I'm forced to consider an uncomfortable truth. What if they're not adapting to survive in the universe? What if the universe adapted to survive them?" The report included one final addendum, added after Admiral Zoran observed a human soldier fall asleep while reading that very same report. Most troubling of all, the soldier appeared to find their terror amusing. "It's like we're the ones being irrational about a species that can switch off consciousness as easily as we modify our crystal resonance. Perhaps we are. Perhaps that's exactly what they want us to think." "I no longer know which possibility frightens me more," Admiral Zoran muttered, his crystalline form pulsing with a growing sense of disbelief. Operation Log, First Strike Initiative. Target, Earth Defense Force, Alpha Sector. Status, ongoing catastrophic failure. "Begin attack pattern Delta 7, the Admiral commanded, his form shimmering with grim determination. The first wave of sleep deprivation weapons released by the crystalline fleet lit up Earth's atmosphere like a disorienting aurora borealis of insomnia. 3 weeks of meticulous planning, countless resources poured into creating the most sophisticated anti-sleep technology in the galaxy, and yet humanity's response was far from what they expected. They started hosting slumber parties in their combat trenches. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, their form flickering with confusion, "the humans in Sector 7, they're taking turns napping while fighting. They've developed some kind of rotational sleep schedule. They're calling it the Battle Buddy system." Commander Natalia Alvarez of the Earth Defense Force had turned the art of sleep warfare into something even more bizarre. Security footage from the front lines showed her calmly issuing orders while dozing in a hammock she'd strung between two anti-aircraft guns. Each time the guns fired, the recoil gently rocked her, but she stayed asleep, never missing a beat. "Status report on Commander Alvarez?" Admiral Zoran demanded, watching with a mixture of horror and reluctant admiration. "Sir, she's been awake for about 72 hours, the officer replied. "But our scans show that she's accumulated roughly 16 hours of sleep through something called power naps. She's taking them between artillery volleys. Her combat effectiveness is improving." The Admiral's crystalline form crackled with frustration. "That's not possible. Deploy the Morpheus disruptors." The alien fleet released clouds of microscopic crystals designed to interfere with human sleep patterns, hoping to incapacitate them. But humanity's response? They turned it into a competition. "New record," came a cheerful voice over an intercepted communication. "Corporal Aaron Zhang just slept through an entire firefight while floating in one of those sparkly sleep disruption clouds. The engineers are calling it disco nap combat. Anyone want to try and beat his time?" Admiral Zoran watched in disbelief as human soldiers deliberately exposed themselves to the sleep disruption fields, treating it like an extreme sport. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Sir, you need to see this footage from Base Camp Echo," the science officer interrupted, voice trembling with disbelief. The video showed Private Jackson Pierce, a human soldier who had fallen asleep while manning a communications station. Nothing unusual there, except for one detail. Even while softly snoring, his fingers continued to type accurate responses to incoming messages. "According to our analysis," the science officer continued, "he's actually dreaming about operating the communication system, and somehow, the dream actions are translating into real-world responses. They're literally fighting us in their sleep." At that moment, Commander Alvarez demonstrated why she had earned the nickname the Sandman. During an intense bombardment, she coordinated a counteroffensive while sleepwalking between command posts. The security footage showed her moving with eerie precision through the battlefield, eyes closed, calling out orders that seemed to perfectly anticipate the crystalline force's every move. "How did she know where we'd strike next?" Admiral Zoran demanded. A junior officer replied, "According to intercepted communications, she claims she saw it in a dream last week." The Admiral's form darkened, nearly black in color. "They're precognitives," he muttered, stunned. "They're dreaming our attack strategies." "Worse, sir," the junior officer added. "They're sharing these dreams during something they call barrack sleepovers. They've turned their sleep into a tactical neural network." The situation reached its absurd peak during the Battle of Sector 9, when the alien forces deployed their ultimate weapon, the consciousness enforcement field, designed to make it physically impossible for any organic being to sleep within its radius. But when they watched, horrified, as humanity treated it like an inconvenience, Admiral Zoran's worst fears were confirmed. "If we can't sleep," Commander Natalia Alvarez announced to her troops, "we'll just have to get creative." "Deploy the tactical recliners," the officer beside her ordered. "The tactical what?" Admiral Zoran whispered, horrified. Earth's forces rolled out thousands of modified combat chairs, each designed with optimal napping ergonomics. Soldiers rotated through them, achieving what they called rest-adjacent states that somehow bypassed the consciousness enforcement field entirely. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, now a pale, worried lavender, "they've started calling it the Power Doze Protocol. They're not technically sleeping, but they're still getting rest. Some are even reporting increased accuracy thanks to something they call sleep-deprived hyperfocus." On the main view screen, Commander Alvarez appeared, looking refreshed despite not having technically slept in days. "I must thank you, Admiral Zoran," she said with a serene smile. "Your sleep deprivation field has helped us pioneer entirely new forms of combat napping. We're even thinking of making it part of standard training." The Admiral's gaze lingered on a human soldier behind her, who had managed to fall asleep while standing at perfect attention. How are you maintaining combat effectiveness?" "Oh, that's simple," Alvarez replied, stifling a yawn. "We're not fighting sleepiness. We're embracing it. Did you know that sleep-deprived humans can experience microsleep episodes that actually enhance certain cognitive functions? It's like being a little bit drunk, but with better aim. As if to demonstrate, a squad of Earth soldiers executed a flawless flanking maneuver while half asleep, moving with a kind of fluid grace that could only come from operating on pure muscle memory and what the humans referred to as dream momentum. Admiral Zoran's final directive to continue the invasion attempt was abruptly interrupted by the sound of gentle snoring. To his horror, he realized the snoring was coming from his own command staff. Somehow, humanity's ability to sleep anywhere had become contagious. "Full retreat!" he barked, his voice trembling. "Watch Commander Alvarez using a fallen alien sleep disruption device as a pillow. Someone wake up the navigation team." The last transmission received as they fled. Earth's orbit came from Commander Alvarez's voice, thick with sleep but still amused. "Next time, bring better pillows. These crystal ones are a bit stiff." The art of weaponized relaxation. The Zyrexian High Command quickly classified all footage of humans sleeping as psychological warfare material. Admiral Vrathzar added a personal note to the file. "They don't need to stay awake to defeat us. They've somehow transcended the concept of combat alertness entirely. What do you do with an enemy that can fight you in their dreams? How do you exhaust a force that treats sleep deprivation as a training opportunity? The humans haven't just adapted to warfare. They've weaponized unconsciousness itself. May the first Zyrexian preserve us, should they ever decide to get serious about staying awake." Classified report. Project Morpheus status. Critical failure filed by Admiral Vrathzar. Note, this may be my final report. The deployment of the psychic exhaustion weapons was supposed to be our shining moment, the point where we would finally break the humans. Instead, it became the moment we truly understood the terrifying nature of what we were facing. "All units, fire the dream drainers," I ordered, watching as the massive crystalline devices hummed to life. These weapons were awe-inspiring in their terrible purpose. Each one, a pinnacle of crystalline engineering, was designed to strip the human mind of all rest, leaving their thoughts devoid of energy and their bodies paralyzed by fatigue. But what happened next defied all logic. What no one had expected, except for Commander Alvarez, of course, was that she had apparently dreamed about this very scenario 3 days prior. She had ordered coffee machines installed at all defensive positions just in case the dream drainers activated. As the psychic nets spread across the human lines, for one brief, glorious moment, we thought it had worked. The human forces swayed on their feet, their eyes growing heavy, their movements slowing to a crawl. But then, in typical human fashion, Private Caleb Harris, because who else but Caleb, simply sat down right in the middle of the battlefield, casually pulled out a thermos, and cheerfully declared, "Coffee break, sir." My tactical officer reported, their crystalline form vibrating in disbelief. The humans there having a nap party right in the middle of our psychic assault. The surveillance feed showed the impossible. Hundreds of human soldiers setting up what they called tactical break rooms in the trenches. They passed around thermoses of coffee, rolled out portable cots, and distributed what they called emergency sleep masks. They were treating the psychic attack like an intermission in a theater performance. "Let me get this straight," I said, my form darkening to a near-black hue in astonishment. "We're hitting them with weapons designed to completely drain their mental energy, and they're treating it like a scheduled break." "Actually, sir," the science officer interjected, their voice barely containing a tremor, "according to intercepted communications, they're calling it mandatory nap time. Commander Alvarez just issued a directive making it a punishable offense not to take advantage of, and I quote, this lovely alien-provided downtime." The surveillance feeds from Commander Alvarez's command post showed her reclining in a chair they called a gaming chair, an odd piece of furniture designed to facilitate both work and sleep. It was absurd. She was calmly reviewing battle plans while seemingly unconscious, her posture perfect, her mind completely at ease. "Status report on the Dream Drainer effectiveness?" I demanded, my voice sharp with frustration. "Sir, the weapons are working, but in a completely unexpected way," the tactical officer replied. "The humans are definitely being drained mentally, but instead of becoming ineffective, they're just taking turns napping. And the ones who are sleeping? Somehow they're still maintaining combat readiness, using something they've called dream combat protocols. The feed showed Private Caleb Harris, still asleep in a makeshift hammock. Yet somehow, he continued to return fire whenever crystalline forces approached his position. His bioc scans indicated that he was dreaming about fishing, yet his muscle memory translated the actions of casting a line directly into perfect defensive fire. My tactical officer's crystalline form flickered with alarm. The dream drainers, they're starting to resonate with the human sleep patterns. I watched in horror as our most powerful psychic weapons began to sync with the very dreams of the humans. The devices, designed to drain mental energy, were instead amplifying and broadcasting their dream patterns. "They're not just sleeping," the science officer gasped, their voice cracking with realization. "The humans are connecting to something. The dream drainers are picking up patterns, ancient patterns. Through our instruments, we can see it now. Every sleeping human is tapping into something vast, something beyond our understanding. Our weapons haven't created a weakness. They've built a bridge to something beyond." Commander Alvarez's voice came through the command channel, thick with sleep, but there was an unmistakable edge of knowing that caused my crystalline form to shudder with primal fear. "Admiral, you should have asked why we evolved to sleep anywhere. Did you think it was just for convenience?" The dream drainer readings were off the charts now. Each human, as they slept, had become a nexus, a conduit to something ancient and powerful. Tactical displays flashed with impossible energy readings emanating from their dormant bodies. "Sir," my second-in-command reported, "we're picking up similar sleep patterns manifesting in our own troops. The humans' rest state seems contagious." I watched helplessly as my own crew started to show signs of drowsiness. Their crystalline forms began to dull, and some of them swayed in place, caught in what the humans referred to as the nod. "Fascinating, isn't it?" Commander Alvarez's voice came again, her words half-dazed, but somehow cutting through the growing dread. "We never really understood it ourselves until you gave us the tools to see it. Every time we sleep, every little nap, we're connecting to something older than your crystals, older than our stars." I didn't want to know. I absolutely didn't want to know, but I found myself asking anyway. "What do you mean by that?" She yawned before responding. "You assumed our ability to sleep anywhere was an adaptation to survive in this universe. But what if it's the other way around? What if the universe adapted to let us sleep through its horrors?" The final thing I saw before I ordered the retreat was Private Caleb Harris, still asleep, giving me a friendly wave as he dream-fired yet another perfect defensive pattern. His slack features were eerily calm, untouched by the chaos around him. I saw an echo of something ancient and vast, something that had looked at the cosmic horrors of space and decided they'd make a nice white noise machine. The final readings from the dream drainers, just before we shut them down in desperation, suggested something so profound it kept me from achieving my own rest cycle. When humans sleep, they're not merely escaping reality, they're connecting to something far more fundamental. Every nap, every doze, is a reminder that they're not trapped in this chaotic universe. The horrors of the cosmos are trapped in here with them, and they find that knowledge so utterly unremarkable, so cosmically mundane, that they can sleep peacefully through the revelation. Final report to the Zyrexian High Council from Admiral Vrathzar. Subject: the true nature of human sleep classification. Omega Black, red once, then shatter. What I'm about to share will fundamentally change our understanding of the cosmos. After the catastrophic failure of our dream drainer weapons, our science team has made a discovery that, at this point, I almost wish we hadn't. "Tell me again what you saw in the final readings," I demanded of Dr. Thalcor, my crystalline form barely holding together from stress. The scientist's form flickered between shades of terrified white and fascinated purple as he pulled up the last data stream from our failed invasion. "It's not what we saw, Admiral," Dr. Thalcor whispered. "It's what we finally understood. The holographic display showed the pattern we had all come to fear, the brainwaves of a napping human soldier, specifically Private Caleb Harris, who had somehow managed to sleep through our entire retreat while still maintaining a perfect firing position. I knew what the answer was, even before he spoke. "Everything," Dr. Thalcor whispered. "When humans sleep, they're not just resting. they're remembering. The evidence was right there in the data. Every human nap, every casual doze, every combat microsleep wasn't just a break for their minds. It was a moment of connection with something far older than them, older than us, older than the universe we understand. The dream drainers hadn't failed. They had succeeded too well, giving us a brief glimpse into what human sleep truly means. Commander Alvarez's voice came through in a recorded message. Now I could hear it, the ancient undertone in her sleep-heavy words. You know what's funny, Admiral? We thought we were just really good at napping. Turns out we're actually really good at remembering what it was like before everything. The surveillance feeds from Earth showed humans casually dropping into sleep states throughout their day. Our new analysis revealed that these weren't simple rest cycles. They were brief, yet profound, connections with fundamental forces of reality. They were tapping into energy patterns that predated the formation of stars. And they were using those ancient forces to catch quick power naps during their lunch breaks. The most terrifying part, Dr. Thalcor continued, his voice trembling, scientific curiosity warring with existential dread, is that they don't even realize what they're doing. We found evidence that human children instinctively know how to access these ancient energy patterns. They call it being able to sleep anywhere like it's normal. Like casually connecting with cosmic forces beyond our comprehension is just a neat evolutionary trick. Our final analysis of Commander Alvarez's combat performance revealed something so horrifying that 3 of our senior researchers suffered crystal fractures from the sheer weight of existential panic. During what humans call dream states, they weren't just processing information or resting, they were unconsciously maintaining the very fabric of reality itself. By choosing again and again to wake up into this version of existence, they were keeping the universe from unmaking itself. Sir, my tactical officer interrupted, their crystalline form practically transparent with fear. You need to see this. The transmission from Earth began. The video showed Private Caleb Harris, casually giving what humans call an interview about his combat experience. Yeah, the aliens had these weird sparkly things that made you really sleepy. Best naps I've had since basic training, though I kept having this weird dream about being there when the universe was born. You know how dreams are, right? Anyway, who's up for coffee? That's when we finally understood. Humans aren't adapting to survive an uncaring cosmos. No, they're part of something far more terrifying. They're part of the cosmos's architecture. Every time a human falls asleep, whether it's in an impossible position during combat or in the middle of a crucial meeting, they're not just resting. They're performing maintenance on reality itself. Their dreams aren't just random firings of synapses. They are echoes of what they used to be, what they still are, beneath their convincingly mundane exterior. The High Council asked me yesterday why, given this revelation, the humans don't simply unmake reality itself. The answer came from another of Caleb Harris's interviews. Man, that would be way too much work. Besides, I kinda like it here. Good places to nap. That, in its chilling simplicity, is the true cosmic horror. Not that humans can tap into the fundamental forces of reality through something as simple as a power nap. Not that every sleeping human, at any given moment, is somehow maintaining the structure of the universe itself. But that they do it so effortlessly, so casually. They could at any time choose to stop, to unmake it all, yet they don't. Because to them, it's just a part of their existence, just another thing they do. And that is the most terrifying part of all, the knowledge that they know it, and yet it's so unremarkable to them that they can sleep through it. We are the ones who should be afraid. Humanity is unknowingly holding existence together simply by choosing to wake up into it. But the true horror isn't just that they are. It's that they find this cosmic responsibility so painfully ordinary, so mundane, that they can sleep through the revelation. End of report. P.S. In light of these findings, the human concept of Monday mornings has now taken on an entirely new, terrifying significance. I strongly advise immediate, comprehensive research into the implications of their coffee consumption, which seems to serve as their means of choosing to maintain the fabric of this current reality. PPS Commander Alvarez sent one final message before I left Earth's orbit. Sweet dreams, Admiral. We'll keep the universe running while you're gone. It's kind of our thing. I haven't achieved a proper crystal resonance cycle since.